no regrets, no confusion. There'll be no pollution. I'm so thankful I've decided to change my ways.
Welcome back to the Leaving Eden podcast. Sadie, do you want to introduce our topic today? Because this was something that Sadie was like, hey, we should do this episode. And I'm like, sure.
So a friend of mine made some concerning Instagram posts that set off my cult spidey senses. And often when this happens, it turns out to be nothing, or it turns out that my friend is in a new multi-level marketing company.
Oh no.
But that's not what happened here. My good friend Laura, was posting things that seemed odd, and posting that she was flying halfway across the country to go to a restaurant. And I was so confused. So I texted her and I said, what is this Casa Bonita? Is this a cult? And it turns out it's not. Well, we're going to explore whether it's a cult today. It turns out it's a South Park thing. I want to introduce our listeners to Laura. I think you're going to love her. And we are going to take on a lighthearted yet serious exploration of whether Casa Bonita is a cult.
Yes, all of the people who are listening to this now, we kind of decided that we wanted to do something that is not heavy between these two Revelation episodes that we're doing. So this is what we came up with instead, which I hope that you guys will find entertaining. I'm certainly excited for it. If you are listening to this episode and you have feelings and you have thoughts, or you have Revelation themed trauma, is themed trauma the right word? Revelation trauma.
No, but it's funny, so it's fine.
After Pride Month is over, sometime in July, we're going to do a couple of wrap up episodes on our Revelation series, where one of them is going to be where we read listener responses, or listeners talking about their Revelation trauma, their rapture anxiety, things like that they dealt with growing up, their experiences with that. We're also going to do one where we have where we look over various theories about 20th/21st century people who could possibly be the Antichrist if you are a premillennial, pre-tribulation rapture type person. So those are going to be fun. Yeah, if you want to send us your rapture trauma, your rapture stories to leavingedenpod@gmail.com. We're going to read those sometime in July. That'll be fun too. Also, if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, please send us pride stories, deconstruction stories, stuff like that. We try to do that every year. And however many we get, we're going to try to read as many of them as we can, as many as we have time for. So those also go to leavingedenpod@gmail.com. Before we get into today's episode, the Leaving Eden podcast is the podcast mostly about my BFF and co-host, cult expert, cult survivor Sadie Carpenter's life in and escape from the independent fundamental Baptist cult, the cult in which she was raised. We talk about this cult, we talk about other cults, we talk about religion, we talk about fundamentalism, we talk about the real and present threat that cults and cult ideologies pose to society as a whole, and it is our goal to promote freedom of mind, freedom of thought, and freedom of religion. So if you like our show, if you're a fan of our show, then you can support us by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/Leaving Eden podcast. There's an extended, uncensored, ad-free version of most of our episodes. You can also join our Facebook group, our subreddit. Both of those are called Eden Exodus. Excellent places to have a cool discussion with other fans of the show. I guess without further ado, I will thank the patrons. And so our patrons are, I gave it all to your patrons. Your names are I'm Not 1010, Kathleen Moncrief, Melissa Manown, Melora King, Todd Dale, and our Faith Promise Missions tier patrons. Your names are Alex P., Allie Allen, Autumn of Our Discontent, Brittany, Chrissa Walker, Dora J., Eleanor Donahue, Hannah Ross, Hannah Montana, Hope Norum, Horton Here's a Shane, Janine Collin, Jana Connor, Jay Nichols. Jay Nichols is a brand new one. So thank you, Jay Nichols, for subscribing to our Faith Promise Missions tier of our Patreon. Jen Kaharski, Jessica Tambo, Jonna, Junie B. Jones, and the B stands for Bafflegab? Bafflegab. I don't know what that is, but we have Kat Henwood, Kay Turwee, Kristen Marie, Learned Vixen, Linda Morgan, Madeline Antrim, Madeline Cusick, Maddie the Seventh Day Badventist, Marlena Stuve, Mary Martin, Megan Arndt, Morgan, Rob the Methodist, Stephanie Johnson, Steve and Amy, Susie, Tara McNamara, Wes the Cowboy, and Zoe Shuck.
In general, we talk about a lot of potentially triggering topics on this show, including but not limited to suicide and mental health, racism, misogyny, PTSD and PTSD symptoms, child abuse, mental, physical, and sexual abuse, and spiritual abuse, including guilt, shame, and fear. In most episodes, we will mention at least a few of these topics, but we try to avoid any graphic detail unless it's absolutely necessary to the story that we're telling, and we do our best to give the audience a heads up if we are going to go into detail on any of these topics. So, as I said at the top of the show, a few weeks ago, I had a rather disturbing experience. I was scrolling on Instagram, and I saw that a friend of mine had flown across the country on a special trip to visit a restaurant. And the way that she was posting about this restaurant was very odd. It just, something made my cult spidey senses tingle. So I had to send an Instagram message to my friend Laura and say, Laura, what the heck is a Casa Bonita? And she was so happy to tell me all about it, like people who have recently joined cults. So here with us today is my good friend Laura Paul, who will be sharing with us about her Casa Bonita experience. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thanks, Sadie. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. It's excellent to be here and to be talking about something that isn't the end of the world, literally the end of the world.
Yeah, because that's what we've been doing. So.
All we've been talking about, that's all I've been reading about in the news. There's wars, there's rumors of wars, there's earthquakes
in diverse places.
There's thunderstorms, there's natural disasters, volcanoes. Yeah. All of those things, but this is not that. We're talking about a Mexican restaurant.
Yes.
So I did really get concerned. I felt like the way that you were posting about Casa Bonita was a level of, dare I say, obsession that I don't normally see from you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you're a person who likes lots of things. I know you have, hobbies and interests, and you have pets that you love, and you're also very chill.
Yes.
You're very laid back.
Unless it comes to Casa Bonita and Taylor Swift, I'm like absolutely chill.
Right.
Oh, so you're a Swiftie?
I'm a major Swiftie. Like, I'm not even hiding it anymore. Like, right now I'm wearing a shirt,
Good
like
for you.
a sweatshirt that says Cornelia Street on it. I watched the Paris Night One streaming on TikTok, and I'm going to New Orleans later this year with my cousin in October, and I've already gone to see the show once in Seattle. I can't be stopped. I'm unhinged. I absolutely love it, and I'm in my Tortured Poets Department era. It's awesome.
You like the new album?
I am also in my Tortured Poets Department era. I'm not that big of a Swiftie, but I am loving that record.
It's so good.
I listened to it. I got enjoyment out of it. I thought that the songs were pretty well written.
Yes, it's really good.
Laura, I feel like you're trying to distract us from our cult investigation that we are here to do today.
This is a chill episode. We're doing good. I'm happy to be talking about this and not literally the end of the world.
Yeah, we're going to. I hope our listeners are relieved as well.
No, but actually, like, it has had a serious effect on my life. Like, people who, who I hang out with have been like, you seem more stressed than usual lately. And I'm like, well, I'm seeing signs,
Scorpion, horse, locusts are coming for me.
I was like watching the Kentucky Derby, and I'm like, I wonder if one of these horsemen could be one of the four horsemen. But it wasn't.
So this is the show where we traumatize Gavi in the same way that I'm traumatized to see what would happen to a normal person if they were traumatized.
Quite honestly, man, I don't get it as deep as you guys did, but I think I get it a little bit. Like, because I keep reading about this, I'm like, what if this is real?
Yeah.
Like, But actually, what if this is real? Do I need to like go and make a decision right now?
I mean, who knows? Who knows? I'm an atheist, so I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if there is a rapture, hopefully, like, I think I will still qualify because of once saved, always saved. So if it did turn out to be true and there was a rapture, I'd be gone. And you guys are welcome to my stash of beans in my basement.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
So question, Sadie, I think over the course of doing this podcast said the magic words.
Yes,
like,
you have said the magic words. You have. Because we did the Breaking the Script episode.
What if I didn't mean them, though?
It depends on, did you mean them even a little bit?
I don't know.
See, so I don't know.
Yeah, see, there we go. Okay, I might be able to get in on a technicality. Laura, you're like actually an atheist, so you're...
Well, I mean, I was raised in the Lutheran Church, which I like to say is the like.
Oh no, still fucked.
It's the crystal light of Catholicism. It's just like it's Catholic delight, but without the guilt. So that's I mean,
but with twice the anti-Semitism.
Yeah, and I grew up in whitewashed Bend, Oregon, so it was all real good there.
For what it's worth, I like Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon is a nice town. They have the Deschutes Brewery.
Yes,
there.
Yes.
Excellent beer, and they sell that nationwide.
Now they do. Yeah.
I go to there's a like a corner store in Philadelphia called the Foodery. I go to the Foodery where they have a wide selection of where you can just get like a 6-pack, but you can like build your own 6-pack. They got a lot of Deschutes up there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Shouts out to the Foodery. Shouts out to 3J's Diner. 3J's Deli up in Northern Liberties. You guys are the choicest of the choice.
So what I'm hearing is, Laura, you think you're exempt from ever being taken in by a cult because you were raised Lutheran and you're now an atheist, and you think that means you're okay.
I'm not okay. I'm completely susceptible.
Would you please tell me what is a Casa Bonita? Would you please just start to tell me about how you encountered this concept?
Okay, so I first learned about Casa Bonita when I was watching South Park as a young kid. It was introduced to me in an episode, and I think it was 2003.
Are you the same age as us? You're like the same age as us.
Yeah,
right?
I was born in '89, so I'm like 34. Yeah, and so I was watching this episode of South Park, and it really stuck with me because I don't know why. I love the character Butters. So anything that happens to Butters just makes me laugh super hard because he's just like, oh, gee Willikers. Like, he's just so gullible. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. Like, I identify with that.
Oh.
Lou, 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 I've got some apples. Lou, 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 you've got some too.
Yeah,
like
Butters is very sweet. And I also am like slightly Professor Chaos in the background, so there's this episode where Kyle is celebrating his birthday, and Eric has just been a raging piece of shit to him for, ever. And it gives you like flashbacks to all of the episodes where he's just being like, just a jerk to him. And so Kyle is supposed to go to this restaurant called Casa Bonita. And I had no idea that this was an actual real place up until very recently. But the whole thing is that Cartman starts to pretend that he's nice to Kyle in order to go to Casa Bonita because, again, Cartman is very self-centered and only thinks about himself. And Kyle was inviting Butters instead of Cartman, and Kyle had mentioned, if Butters can't go for some reason, I'll take your place. And so, or Eric will take Butters' place. Yeah. So
Okay.
Then Cartman, Eric, kidnaps Butters and pretends it's the end of the world. And there's like this.
Oh, so it is related to our current series.
Yeah. So he puts Butters in a bunker, and it's like at Uncle Jimbo's place. And I don't remember who Uncle Jimbo is related to, but
Uncle Jimbo is Stan's uncle.
Stan's uncle. Thank you.
Stan's Uncle Jimbo.
Yes. So he puts him in Jimbo's bunker. And then the next day, they're all getting ready to go to Casa Bonita, and Eric just happens to show up at Kyle's doorstep, and he's like, "Hey, Butters didn't make it. Do you want to come with?" And he's like, "Oh, gee, yes, I would love to." Meanwhile, Butters is thinking that the end of the world has just happened, and he has to repopulate the earth. It's so Butters. And yeah, just the whole episode is just completely ridiculous. The police end up figuring out that it was Cartman who kidnapped Butters, and they chase him all throughout the restaurant. And it's just the most chaotic episode that I've ever seen. But, you know, in the end, the police catch him and they're like, "Well, son, was it worth it?" And he's like, "Totally." So
it was worth getting arrested because he got to go to Casa Bonita.
Absolutely, yes. So
that
I was
sounds culty.
It does.
Do you think that the Casa Bonita episode is worse than the Scott Tenorman grinding his parents into chili and feeding him the chili episode?
I think that the chili episode is by far the worst. That one is terrifying.
Sadie, if you haven't seen this episode of South Park,
I don't know if I've seen that one.
It is dark.
It is a classic episode. I watched that episode when I was in probably 5th or 6th grade. I mean, but Sadie didn't have. I mean, I didn't have permissive parents. I watched that episode at like a sleepover at a friend's house. We were watching like South Park and Futurama in the basement on like Comedy Central and playing as much GameCube as we wanted. Yeah. And eating like Red Baron frozen pizzas and stuff. Which great time.
I feel like I'm glad that episode didn't come up right after Chuck was born. Because you know, when you have a baby, you're awake for like 3-4 days, basically. And then mostly awake for the next 3, 4, 8, 10, 24 weeks.
And then 3, 4, 8, 10 years as well.
Right. Right. But when I had Chuck, I was watching TV in the hospital because my brain was so totally fried.
Right.
I mean, like extended sleep deprivation, the most emotional thing that will ever happen to you, hormones and drugs.
Yes.
It's a lot.
What was on TV?
South Park.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was very engaging at the time because, you know, it's bright, it's colorful, there's fun voices, it's easy to understand. So I watched like 24 hours of South Park in the first 24 hours of Chuck's life because it was just there. And I was stuck there. I did not have the brain power to change the channel.
My distinct memory of Casa Bonita was that it is like a family-style Mexican restaurant.
Yes.
But there's also like a rainforest cafe-esque
That's exactly
element
right.
to it. So it's like a family-style Mexican restaurant, but there's like a cave where you can take pictures, like a pirate cave, and there's like a waterfall inside, and there's guys playing mariachi music. It just seems like a fun time and like a fun place to go to. Like I would go there and order fajitas for sure.
Oh, it is a hip happening time. So
yeah.
So this is a real place.
It is a real
now.
place.
It wasn't
it's not
originally
just on South Park.
No. It has been since like 1973.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been in Colorado since 1973. Yeah.
I didn't know this. I thought that this was a thing where it didn't exist and it just came up in the show.
No.
And then they decided, and then the guys who started the show decided that they were going to make Casa Bonita real.
No.
According to my research, Trey and Matt went to this very real place called Casa Bonita when they were kids. It was the ultimate birthday party destination when they were kids growing up in Colorado. And later on, when they made the show South Park, they wanted to include this restaurant in their show, and they actually reached out for permission and got permission from the current owners of Casa Bonita to put the restaurant in South Park for real. But this is a real place that was the birthday party destination when they were kids. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So, my old roommate grew up in Colorado. And so when we went out there for this excursion, I would say, this pilgrimage, if you will, to Casa Bonita, we stayed with her family. But her mom was like, "Oh yeah, like I would go there when I was in high school, and you know, it was the place to go." And Kate, she also said that the food was like completely inedible by the time like she was in high school. Like it was just so bad. It was just so gross. So
you still wanted to go because the ambiance?
So what happened was during the pandemic, there was some news that came about Casa Bonita and that they were not doing well business wise. And
maybe because the food wasn't edible.
Right. And their checks started bouncing and stuff like that. And so they ended up closing. Well, Matt and Trey, creatives of South Park, bought it and they put some money into it and, kind of zhuzhed up the place a little bit. They hired a Michelin star chef, Dana Rodriguez. She's a local chef in Denver, Colorado, and helped redesign the menu and make the food edible again. And they reopened, I think, in September of 2023. And the only way that you can get tickets, yes, there's tickets for you to dine there, is you have to sign up on an email list, and it's a lottery for you to get selected. And so my friend Mike put in his email, I put in mine, I made my husband put in his. I think I put in like all 5 of my email addresses that I have.
Because we are millennials, yes.
Yes, and I have way too many. We were just hoping like one of us would get selected. But I think my friend recently told me like the wait list or like the email list is somewhere up to like 500,000 people. And so it's just done on a lottery. And so my friend got the email in March saying, "Okay, I've got the green light. I can buy tickets for Casa Bonita." And I immediately called him. I'm like, "Dude, when's the first? What's the first date that we could go?" And we couldn't go in March because it didn't work out with our schedules and stuff. So we're like, "Okay, let's wait for the April calendar." And so we decided to go on April 20th. And none of us are, stoners or anything, but we picked 420 because, as you do.
You wanted a memorable day for your induction into this group.
And so we went to the giant, beautiful pink restaurant that is Casa Bonita. And it's like in the show, it displays that it's like right next to like $1.90 or a 97-cent store and like a dental place and stuff like that. And it's in a strip mall. Like that's the thing that you don't realize in the pictures is that it's literally in a strip mall. So there's a Ross, there's a Dollar Tree, there's this like Advantage dental place. Okay. There's like a Pizza Hut and like a brewery next door. It's so cool. And then so we got tickets to go inside. I'm going to come back to these tickets because I have questions according to the bite model, but what is inside? Are you allowed to tell us what goes on inside Casa Bonita? Yeah, of course.
Okay, so it's not secretive.
No, it's not secretive in any way, shape, or form. It looks like a little like cobblestone village, and there's like bright flags that are strewn about, and they have like posters and stuff like that feature the cliff divers. We decided to dine cliffside. So that means that we got to sit next to where they have the diving show. So we sat next to where the waterfall feature is that Gavi was talking about earlier.
There is a waterfall feature inside this restaurant, inside a strip mall, and there are divers.
Yes, there are people who do choreographed dances and dive off of the cliffs that they have
high
built.
Would you say these cliffs are?
I don't know how high they are, but it's pretty deep. Like it's pretty tall. So they had to make the like pool very deep.
Like more or less than 20 feet.
Yeah, something
around
in there.
20 feet high.
Yeah.
Okay.
if you're the person who gets to be like the cliff diver, I imagine you're like on maybe a diving team or the synchronized swimming team when you're in high school or college, but you don't make the Olympic trials. And
they were really good divers, I must say.
It's a 30-foot waterfall. I looked it up.
Okay.
And then you're like, well, I can't be a professional diver, but I can get a job at Casa Bonita.
I was like, I would quit my job and be a diver, but I would probably just do belly flops all the time because I'm not very coordinated and I would probably fall. But that's okay.
From
I know
30
about
feet, no thanks.
I've been involved with your knee.
Yeah.
I would not necessarily support it. I don't know yet. The jury's out on whether I support you joining the Casa Bonita cult, but I definitely would not support you jumping off a 30-foot waterfall.
Yeah, probably not.
When I was a kid, there was like a swimming pool that, if you were having a swimming pool birthday party, you would go to that swimming pool, and they had in there like a high dive, not like a diving board, the one that that's like a pirate plank that you jump off of and you bounce off of. Like they had an actual high diving board. And if it was your birthday, then you could go up there with a lifeguard and the lifeguard would let you jump in from the top.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And so I got to do that once or twice. You have to not be afraid of heights, but it was fun.
But man, when I saw this like pink castle looking thing, it's like Pepto-Bismol pink. Like it is pink. And when I just saw this beautiful Casa Bonita, I was like just giddy. I was more excited than going to Disney World for the first time, quite honestly. And I was like skipping around. My friends were just laughing super hard. And I had like a pretty rough week beforehand. I had actually been hospitalized for like most of that week because of kidney stones. And the whole time I was in the hospital, I like looked at the doctors and I was like, hey, look, so I'm going to Colorado and I don't want to cancel this trip because I'm going to Casa Bonita. And like even my nurses and my doctors were like, oh yeah, no, you can go. Like it's totally fine. We understand.
Casa Bonita is just that big a deal.
It's that big of a deal. Like,
I mean, if you would commit kidnapping, if you would commit crimes to get to go to Casa Bonita, I guess walking out while you still got kidney stones, while you're,
traveling to Colorado while you have a stent in your body. And like, was it the wisest decision? No. But did I have a great time? Absolutely.
This sounds culty. I am concerned. Our listeners, are you now understanding? Because I knew about the kidney stones and I was...
She knew I was in the hospital.
I knew you were in the hospital. Listeners, do you now understand why I was so concerned that you were flying across the country to go to a restaurant? Do you understand why I got that cult spidey sense just a little bit about this? I was genuinely a little bit concerned.
I'm like, no, Sadie, you don't understand. It's Casa Bonita. You just have to watch the episode to understand. It's so awesome.
Trying to recruit me into a cult after everything I've been through, Laura.
What is your order? Like, what are you get there? What do you order? I assume you're getting chips and salsa for the table.
Yes, you do get chips and salsa for the table.
Is it just like one kind of salsa, or do they give you like the mild and they give you the hot and they give you the verde?
No, it's just the one just salsa. The one.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good.
Was it mild or was it spicy?
I would say it's mild,
okay.
More on the mild side. But when you go to Casa Bonita, they have, because they redesigned the menu, right, to make it one edible. They had several different options for you to pick from, but it's like, they're going to be serving a lot of people, and there's different areas that you can dine. Like there's like these mine caves that you can dine, and then there's like a cafeteria area. So it's like all the same food, but when you are at the cliffside, it's like proper. I don't want to say proper, but like typical restaurant style dining where, a waitress or a waiter comes up to the table, takes your order, brings you drinks, all of that stuff. So you have a choice of several different entrees. There's like 7 different entrees. You can do enchiladas, carnitas tacos, chicken mole, beef suerto, probably butchering that.
Chili rellenos.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Ceviche and then taco salad. So they have like a little bit of everything. I got the beef suerto, which is a brisket with like Colorado green chili. Like it's, oh my God, it was so good. And
that sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds better than the food that I had when I was in a cult.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like those church ladies can throw down.
No, I was thinking Hyles Anderson food.
Oh, you're thinking Hyles Anderson food. I'm thinking like
mystery mush and deers that somebody in the church hit.
I'm talking about like cheesy potatoes. I'm talking about like
funeral potatoes.
I mean, how do you fuck up? You can't fuck up potatoes and cheese, can you?
No, I mean, no.
Impossible. You put those things together, it's going to be good no matter what. Twice baked, thrice baked.
Right. And then my husband, he got the chicken mole.
See, that's what I would order. Out of the things that you told me, that's what I think I would order.
Yeah, and then my friends had the enchiladas, and they give you a choice of verde or roja or like green red sauce or Christmas. So you can get both, and I love that. So lots of different options. They had tons of different bars, and you could go walk around and do things. They have like a little jail where you can go take like a photo and pretend that you're like breaking out of jail. And they have like this little arcade area too, and it was super fun. We went through Black Bart's cave, and that was really funny. Yeah, it was just a very unique experience. They have a magic show, which we did not get to see, unfortunately. And they have a puppet show as well. And Principal PC, which is one of the newer characters on South Park, announces when the puppet show is going to happen, which is hysterical. Oh, Man Bear Pig. Man Bear Pig was there, dressed up in a lei. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Man Bear Pig is there.
Yes, Man Bear Pig is there. Newsflash, he's real. And he wears a lei, and he comes to the tables. Al Gore was not present, I will say.
Sadly.
So,
I mean, not that you know of.
Not that I know of. Maybe he's in the basement, but
Al Gore could have been the guy in the Man Bear Pig costume.
Could you imagine? That would be epic. Oh my God. Al Gore in retirement, dressing up as Man Bear Pig at Casa Bonita.
My thought is that, you know, when you're talking about this menu, there's only 7 items on the menu, but I'm not mad at that. Because I'm personally, like...
Ooh, I forgot one very important part, though.
Oh, yeah?
There are the sopapillas. So that's a key part in the episode where Cartman, he, like, raises the flag on the table to get honey butter sopapillas. And feel free to, like, look up what a sopapilla is. But, oh, my God, these things were, like, so good. And so you could raise the flag on
Just
your table
like Cartman.
to get more sopapillas brought to the table.
I Googled it and it said fried dough food.
Yes, it's like
It's
like a light fried bread that they drizzle like honey on, and they put like butter on. Yeah, it's like a air, like not as dough filled.
We were just talking about beignets.
Yeah, well, as a Southerner, you know, that's my cultural fried dough food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes. Oh, okay, this is kind of sort of similar to a beignet. Okay.
We don't have. Do the Jews do a fried dough food? Am I completely blanking on one?
Yes,
we do
you
fried
have
potatoes.
That. No, you have a fried dough food.
What do we have? I'm completely blanking. They're about to revoke. They're about to revoke my Jew card for this. I'm sorry. It's like
I don't know how to say this, Gabi. SUFGANIYAH.
They're like donuts.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah, they're like jelly donuts.
Okay,
that's what
so you do.
Are.
That's
okay,
what it
yeah,
is.
We've got those. Yeah.
I thought, as a glutton myself, I was like, why can't the sopapillas be on be sandwiched in between some fried ice cream? Because I want diabetes. Apparently,
hell yeah,
that sounded so good.
What was the margs? You guys ordered margs, I assume.
Oh, I had a lot of margaritas. Let's be real.
You get a picture?
No, we did not get a pitcher. My husband prefers beer over hard alcohol, and that's totally fine. But I had a margarita, and my friend Kate got like the skinny margarita. So I just had a couple. Like, I think I had like 2 or 3. They were pretty sweet, but it was really good.
Did they have a variety of margaritas, or was it just
Yes.
like the one? Okay, because I like that about a restaurant when they'll have like one that's like a grapefruit one, they'll have like a jalapeno one. Like I've been, a pineapple one or a mango one are also, definitely winners in my book.
Yeah, I'm always going to go for a Paloma over a margarita, so I appreciate the variety.
A Paloma is a good one too. I've also like if there's like a mezcal cocktail on the menu, I think that is usually a winner for me as well, depending on the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I quite get the appeal of Casa Bonita, and maybe that is just my maybe is it my cult trauma, or is it because I'm scared that you may have joined a cult?
Well, no, I think it's kind of like a meme. It's like doing something for the meme, but also like it's a good time.
It's a very good time. Like, the fact that Matt and Trey bought it was just incredible. And I was like, as soon as they reopen this thing, I have to go.
But the food was good. The food was solid.
Excellent. Okay. The chef, Dana Rodriguez, like, applauds to her. She's a James Beard nominee. Like, they hired like a really good chef to redesign the menu, and it's top. It's not a fine dining type experience. You're not going to get like a 5-star type thing. It's not a tasting menu by any means, but it's really good food. Like, I was really impressed.
I do love a tasting menu.
You do?
Yeah, it was my what's today? Thursday the 9th. Yeah, my 1 week ago today was my 31st birthday. Once a month, my girlfriend and I go to like a fancy restaurant.
Fine dining, yeah.
Yeah, we do like a fine dining where we're like, okay, we're really gonna splurge and spend like $150 on a meal. And we do that like once a month, and we take turns paying for it, so it kind of it kind of evens out. But she took me to like this Japanese restaurant in Center City in Philadelphia about a week ago, and I really enjoyed that. We always do the tasting menu whenever there is one, because I always feel like you get your money's worth on a tasting menu.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've done it a couple of times. There's this place in Portland called Denoche. And
I've heard of Denoche. I've never been there.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Shout out to the Portland crew at Denoche. It's top tier. And you can taste the whole menu for like $130. And it's not bad. And it's like for 2 people.
That's fantastic. Like, we went, and the tasting menu, we went to Sampan, which is a restaurant in Center City in Philadelphia, which is one of the, it's a nice like Pan-Asian cuisine restaurant. The tasting menu was $55 a person. Not bad at all. And like, we got duck. We got salmon, but the salmon had like Indian like chutney on it as well, and that was 2 flavors that I'm not used to having together, but that was delicious. The Brussels sprouts were delicious. We got the Wagyu beef on the skewer. That was delicious as well. And I mean, it was all like, and they had like a special cocktail menu. Fantastic. Like, I really love that sort of thing.
Gavi, you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I was gonna say now I'm gonna like after we're done recording, I'm gonna go drive down to McDonald's and go get a shitty burger.
Sadie, come out to visit me in Philadelphia. We'll go to either there, maybe we'll go to Double Knot. I don't know. Double Knot is a good restaurant. Do you like raw fish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We can go to like a nice sushi restaurant then.
We need like a convention for everybody that we have made friends with through being guests on our podcast. Like, can you imagine us and Laura and Heather and Chad and Lindsay and Alora?
We'll get Leah to come too. We'll get
Leah and Eric.
Eric will come. Who else has been?
Liz Hunter.
We'll get Pastor Noah to come.
Pastor Noah.
Yeah, he's up in Philly.
I don't know if you want to invite Pastor Noah, because if you do that, it's going to be me and Pastor Noah in a corner talking about theology. That's it.
I mean, as long as you have a good time, I'll hang out with like Heather and and Chad and
You
Laura,
give me
you've
some
joined-
karaoke, and I'll just sing Taylor Swift in the background.
That'll be fun.
That'll
We
be
do
fine.
karaoke. I'll sing Queen.
Laura, I'm not sure if you're aware of the caliber of club that you're joining, having guested on Leaving Eden.
I am not aware, but I am super excited. I think, yeah.
Well, because before I had a podcast, so back when I met Laura, and this is like at least one level, if not two levels of Patreon. This is what goes on the Patreon, Laura. So before I had a podcast, people would come over to my house and I would suddenly drop cult books in their lap. And that's what happened to Laura. And that's pretty much how we became friends.
Yeah, instantly. I was like, you're my favorite person now. I am so sorry this ever happened to you. Please tell me everything.
But tell me all about it. So Laura was
what you're comfortable with. Like I wasn't like I wasn't like tell me everything like right now in every like gravy detail. Like I'm so sorry this happened. You probably have a lot of trauma, but tell me everything. Like
it's more like it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. It's like I want all the details. I'm really sorry that this happened to you. And, you know, you don't have to tell me anything that you don't want to. I know you probably have PTSD, but I want to know what caused it. But like whatever you can say to, you know, because I care about you.
And I'm like, but I'm so sorry, and I love you, and I want to support you, and like, just let me know how I can help you in like public situations, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But like, what is the trigger of this? Like, you know, I'm just a nosy
right. Well,
nobody.
back when you met me, I was still having real deal flashbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So-
picturing here? I'm picturing, you know, the meme where it's the peeking through the fingers, where you're like, I want to block out my, but I'll peek through the finger.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm like Homer going into the bushes, but then like my eye is still like there. Like I'm just like slightly blacking away, but I'm just like still there.
So this is why it was so disturbing to me. You know, our longstanding friendship is why it was so disturbing to me when I started to get worried that you might have joined a cult.
I just make this pilgrimage and I'm going to this big pink building and it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like bringing my friends and
Right.
I guess on one end, we're going to go Casa Bonita if it reminds us of the Church of Scientology.
Right.
With just different aesthetics.
So we're gonna go take up the offering, and I've been taking some notes as you've been speaking. And when we come back, I'm going to point out some things that I find troubling about the potential cult of Casa Bonita. Hey, Sadie here. If this is your first time listening to the Leaving Eden podcast, make sure you go back and check out episode 57. It's a primer episode for new listeners. That episode tells my personal story and gives you all the terms and information that you'll need to know going forward. Also, check out our cult true crime series, The First Family of Fundamentalism, so that you can get the whole cult story. If you like our show, you can support us by joining our Patreon, where we have extended and uncensored episodes as well as other bonus content available. You can also join in the discussion in our Facebook group. That group is called Eden Exodus. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your worst enemy. The Leaving Eden podcast is a fully independent podcast, and we really appreciate your support. Now, back to the show. We are back from our offering break, and we've had a lot of fun talking about Casa Bonita, but I have some very serious concerns. Laura, are you familiar with the... Let me say that again. Laura, are you familiar with the bite model from having listened to Leaving Eden since before we were Leaving Eden?
I feel like I should know it, but right now I'm drawing a blank, so I apologize.
Well, bite model is the 4 ways that cults control people. Behavior control.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
We should also, it's worth noting, just because we've had people message us about this, yes, we did see that Stephen Hassan, the guy who came up with the bite model, did do a whole long thing defending J.K. Rowling, which to us was extremely disappointing to see.
Don't support that.
Not fantastic,
not
not a
into
great look.
TERFs. But the cult research stands.
Boo. That sucks. Oh, research, yay, but...
Well, the thing is that you just have to remember that nobody is not susceptible to the, like, you could be a person who looks into cults for a living and you could still be susceptible to this sort of thing, to this sort of thinking. Because Sadie and I are kind of the opinion that the gender critical movement in general is pretty culty.
And
Yes.
look up Kellen Conrad if you want to know more about that. They did an entire series. It is very well laid out. their research is impeccable. It is not just a wild claim that they're making. It is their research is incredible.
Just needed to point out there, though, that if we are
we're not pro turf, but here's the other thing, folks.
With an X.
Yes, sure. We have found an area where we very strongly disagree with Dr. Stephen Hassan, and that does not invalidate his body of research, which is one of the most influential bodies of research on cults in the world, because we are not in a cult and we do not have to resort to black and white thinking. Just because we think he is very wrong on one big thing does not mean that his work that is good on a totally different separate thing goes away or is no longer worthwhile. And this is a way that we can deconstruct black and white thinking. We can deconstruct us versus them thinking in real time when we apply critical thinking skills to the work that he has done, to the things that he has said that we like, the things that he has said that we don't like, and process that for ourselves without relying on us versus them and black and white thinking.
Also, if you expect everybody who you like to have the correct opinion about everything, that's kind of dehumanizing. Especially if like if you have like a list of I am only listening to people who think this thing about this, then pretty soon you get into like secondary separation. It is
secondary separation, and it's a lot smarter. I don't particularly want to hear anything that Dr. Hassan has to say about J.K. Rowling or gender, but I can still find value in his work about cults. And to me, that is what gives me the most value out of my interaction with this person that I don't know in real life. And I hope people do that with me. I encourage people to do that with me, because a lot of times on this show, I am speaking to a very progressive Christian viewpoint, like very progressive, universalist, LGBTQ affirming Christian viewpoint.
Yes.
But I know that about 30% of our audience are atheists. And I encourage, please tune me out when I get on that soapbox and listen to the other stuff that I have to say that does apply to you. Please do not think I'm trying to convert or say that my viewpoint is the only one. I actively ask people to treat my words that way.
I would like to come on this podcast and say that Xenu is the one true God.
I think you need to get some engrams out.
So, okay. Anyway,
so I read online that. So I looked into Casa Bonita, and from what you've said and what I've read online, I am really, really concerned. One of the first things that I noticed is that Casa Bonita is billed as the greatest restaurant in the world. Is that correct, Laura?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's the greatest restaurant in the world, because I haven't gotten to eat at every restaurant in the world.
Did someone tell you that it's the greatest restaurant in the world, though?
Eric Cartman did.
See, I am really worried that is emotion control, because Eric Cartman is telling you how you must feel and how you must perceive this restaurant. I feel like this is dangerous for actually both thought control and emotion control. That concerns me.
See, I agree with Sadie here, because when I hear a band like Kiss come out on stage and say, we're the greatest band in the world, then I'm like, I kind of doubt that. But the people in the audience, they definitely think that Kiss is the greatest band in the world.
Sure, most certainly. But like for me, I'm like, no, this isn't the best restaurant that I've ever been to. It's more of like, this was an incredible experience that I got to have with my friends. And it was so much fun. I had a blast, and I had so much, I just had so much fun. So
it's more of like an Olive Garden when you're here, your family.
It absolutely, absolutely. Sans the breadsticks, more warm sopapillas.
Unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. Honestly, like I came from a life where people would turn up their nose at Olive Garden. That's not real Italian food. And now if somebody's like, do you want to go to Olive Garden? They got unlimited soup, salad, breadsticks. I would be like, me up, let's go.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you know what you're signing up for. Like if you get a tour of Italy, it's going to be like a little bit rocky and, but given that I didn't even know that this was a real place, and then knowing that Matt and Trey had bought Casa Bonita and put some life back into it and redid the menu and all of that stuff, I think it's just so cool. And I think it's really cool that they hired a female chef from Chihuahua, Mexico. That's where she's from. She's in Denver now.
See, I know that you said it's really cool that they hired a good chef, but I was going to bring that up. I did take note of that. I am worried that this is just an example of really effective cult recruiting, because cults like to get celebrities or very successful people to be spokespeople for their cults. I remember being in the IFB, and I've talked about this before. If you had a story, if you had the best story, like there was a guy who was a former Hell's Angel and he had the best story, and so he was the most popular in the cult. If you had given up something to go to the cult, you were the most popular person. If you had left a life of sin, or if you had left a life where you made a lot of money and joined the cult instead. And I kind of wonder, this chef, is she their celebrity spokesperson for this cult? Like, did she lend her celebrity to legitimize the Casa Bonita cult?
No, I don't think so, but that's just me. Mm-mm.
But I think that there's some good points to be made here, though, in that maybe the chef isn't the celebrity, but you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about like Tom Cruise's association with Scientology is a powerful recruiting tool. I'm thinking about, the whole Nexium thing where you had, what's her name from Smallville?
Allison Mack.
Allison Mack recruiting people into the sex cult. I'm also thinking, do you remember, was it FTX? Where they had all of these celebrities who were paid sponsors of what was a crypto scam.
Oh, yeah, that's
doing
right.
that. Yeah. And all of these people who were like, like one of the guys from Shark Tank was on there, and like, people who are like financial and money gurus or whatever trying to, I mean, maybe the celebrity endorsement isn't necessarily the celebrity chef. It's the fact that the guys that made South Park are the guys who are on board with it.
That's a very true point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones who kind of brought it into notoriety, into pulp culture, and now they own it. And I mean, Matt Bear Pig is there. I mean, come on. It's so awesome.
If you're thinking of this as a cult, like there's two different ways to perceive it. Okay. You could look at it as a cult where Matt and Trey are the purposeful cult leaders. Or you could look at it as a cult where Matt and Trey are kind of innocent bystanders, and this cult has gotten away from them and gotten out of their hands, and it's not their fault. But those are really the only two ways to contextualize this as a cult, just from my expert opinion. Laura, you keep referring to going there as a pilgrimage.
As a joke, as a complete joke.
As a joke, okay.
I mean, but we all know that things start out as a joke and then they get serious.
No, I'm completely joking. I just
college for the meme.
I just thought, I'm on leaving eating. Why not, put in the pun? Come on.
Although people actually, like, we've had multiple podcast listeners stop by college campus to send us pictures because they were in Crown Point, Indiana, going through.
Oh my gosh.
Once Hyles Anderson completely goes out of business, we should buy it and then turn it into like a cult deprogramming center or something like that.
Oh my gosh, what if we could franchise Casa Bonita and turned Hyles Anderson into a Casa Bonita in Indiana?
I mean, that sounds incredible to me, because it's close enough to Chicago that you would get the business.
Matt and Trey, if you're listening, guys, come on, we've got a business idea for you.
What I would do is I would buy Hiles Anderson and turn it into like a church potluck themed restaurant.
Ooh. Yes. Hash brown casserole, man.
Like tater tot casserole, hash brown casserole,
hot dish, Minnesotan hot dish.
Hot dish. Yo, they like are there restaurants in the Midwest where they actually like you can go to a restaurant and order hot dish on a menu?
I don't know.
I think I would say yes, there are, but it's not typical because that's not something that you can cook. It doesn't work well for a restaurant model. It's not something that you can cook in single portions. You would have to cook it for the whole day and then either keep it warm or rewarm individual portions when somebody ordered it.
Well, you can, or like, I mean, there's restaurants. I'm thinking about like, you ever go to like the old spaghetti factory in Portland? Like, I mean,
my husband joked that we're going to buy that place and turn it into Casa Bonita as well. Like after we went there.
I mean, that's the kind of place where you eat like, it's one of those places where you eat when your grandma's in town.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a place where, you know, the lasagna, they don't make an individual lasagna when you go and get lasagna at a restaurant like that. No. So that's sort of what I'm thinking is that like you could have, you know, like you could have the waiter come around and say, our hot dish for the day is with a tater tot and a chorizo sausage. Today is the hot dish. It's like a Southwest hot dish that we're going with today. And
I could see this going on drive-in, dive-ins, and dives, or whatever is called Triple D.
The Guy Fieri thing. Yeah. But the reality is, you know, like all of these different cuisines have had their moment in the sun. I feel like right now Korean cuisine is really having a moment in the sun. Why can't Midwestern food have its moment in the sun? Where it's, I don't want to say elevated to a high cuisine level because that seems kind of pretentious, but why can't there be a Midwestern restaurant that like does all of these kinds of foods, but like what if they like did the shit out of them? Where you could like go to a restaurant and order it. Because like if you want to have hot dish, you got to like make a whole hot dish, and like that's like a special occasion food. You can't just go to a restaurant and order it.
This is very interesting.
It's a valid business proposition. Shark Tanks, if you're done like scamming people for crypto, you can buy my idea.
Looking at you, Mark Cuban. Come on.
Was Mark Cuban one of the... who was the other one? Who was the other guy on Shark Tank who was... I don't think Mark Cuban was doing the crypto scamming.
No, I think it was Robert.
Robert. No, it was Kevin O'Leary. That's who was doing it.
It was Mr. Moneybags or whatever, or Mr. Whatever.
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful.
I hate that man so much.
Oh God,
he seems like such a
He does not have a soul. His eyes are just soulless.
He seems like a giga douche. Another South Park reference: a biggest douche in the universe.
Yes, biggest douche in
the universe. John Edward, who I think Ross from Ono, Ross and Carrie went to one of his psychic things. I listened to that series. I like Ono, Ross and Carrie. I think they're fun.
My mom is super big into like psychics and John Edward and all that stuff. And it's just, oh my God, my poor mother. I'm just like, oh.
Did you listen to that? Ono, Ross, and Carrie got a whole like series where they go and talk to psychics. They did Caputo. What's her name?
Teresa
Caputo. They did her. They did.
Her hair just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm
really
just like
kind of like Gwen Shamlin.
Yes, the higher the hair, the closer to God.
Or spirits.
Or the spirits, yeah.
I really like their show. No, every time I go on other people's podcasts and I talk about cults, Scientology ultimately comes up, and then I always am just like, go listen to Ross and Carrie. They went and joined Scientology like 10 years ago, and then they got kicked out.
And we are not going to.
No.
Because Ross and Carrie did a great job. That series and their Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints series were actually foundational to my personal deconstruction, but I am not going to try to join Scientology. I'm thankful that somebody else did it for me. Okay, I do have a question though.
Yes.
I do have a question. So you said that getting into Casa Bonita is highly exclusive.
Right now it is. Yes.
So you have to sign up on this email list and then there's a ticket lottery.
Yeah.
And if you get chosen, you get a selection of dates that you can buy tickets for.
It's not necessarily a selection of dates. It's just like you have, like, I don't want to say you've gotten the Willy Wonka golden ticket, but it's like you're eligible to purchase tickets, and then you can purchase. I don't know how good like the link is good for, but I think you can book it for several months like in advance, so you don't have to go like right away, or it doesn't just give you like a weekend or something like that. Like you have time to plan the trip, so that's why we were able to plan it in advance. It wasn't just like you're going to Casa Bonita this weekend at this time. Like we were able to select what time and where we wanted to. Yeah, we wanted to dine cliffside because I'm like, of course I want to be next to the cliff divers because that's just epic. And we picked our date, and it worked for everybody in our group. So
okay, so that doesn't actually make me feel better because I was kind of worried about that being a form of information control. And let me explain.
I'm confused by this.
I can explain. Some key factors of information control are encouraging black and white thinking and insider versus outsider information. So if you've been selected to attend Casa Bonita, then you're an insider, right?
Interesting.
You're one of them now. And if they immediately played that into behavior control by saying you can come on one of these 3 days, that would be truly actually concerning.
Yeah, I would not have signed up if that was the case.
But learning that you can go, you have a wide selection of dates, you have time to choose your day, you have time to plan your trip, and that anybody can get on the email list does make me feel a lot better that this is not information control.
Oh yeah, no. Anybody can sign up.
But you see why I would have been worried. You see how this could have been an inch away from Cold Lake.
I could. It's not a stretch. A little bit of a stretch, but it's not completely a stretch. I can.
The episode itself is a little bit of a stretch, but I have my reasons. So what? Are you so you're allowed to talk about anything that happened inside Casa Bonita?
Oh yeah. You can take pictures, and
you can post pictures.
Yep, Sadie, I texted you a couple pictures, and like if you go on Instagram and search like hashtag Casa Bonita, you can see pictures of like the inside of it that people have taken. My personal profile on Instagram is private, but feel free to share the pictures that
we'll put them on our podcast Instagram.
Yeah, and you can take pictures and take video and all of that stuff, and it's not like proprietary or anything.
Okay.
It's fine.
So I'm asking you as a friend and as a cult expert, there wasn't anything in there that they said, well, this one room is what you can't tell the outsiders about.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not even Blackbird's Cave. Yeah, not even Blackbird's Cave.
Okay.
Sadie, I can't lie to you. Like, you know that. I'm terrible at lying. Like,
I don't think you can lie.
Like, I buy a Christmas present in, like, July, and then I immediately give it to my husband because I can't, like, hold the secret. Like, it's just terrible. So, yeah.
So I think that is really what is starting to ease my mind about the potential cult aspects of Casa Bonita, because it does, like, it could be something where you have to be an insider to know about it, or there's one particular room that you're not allowed to tell anybody else about.
Oh yeah, no, there wasn't anything like that. I think the only thing that you can't do is like film the magic show, which makes sense,
That's fair. But yeah, that's a magic show thing, not a cult thing. That's fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we should do an episode about whether magicians are cult leaders.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So, is there any instruction from Casa Bonita or its owners about what you are supposed to say to other people about Casa Bonita? Like, does your waiter say, go tell all your friends you had a great time? Anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, I'm finally starting to feel better. I've spent an hour on this recording very concerned that my friend was getting into a cult, and now I'm finally getting the answers that make me feel a little bit better.
There's enough demand for this place that they don't have to worry about, marketing. They don't have to worry about people wanting to come there because people are going to come for the meme, and people who are just from the area are going to come for the memories because they're like, oh, they redid Casa Bonita and it's good now. The food's like actually decent. What prices, what are we looking at as far as how much the food itself costs?
Oh, yeah. So when you get a ticket, that includes your food. So I think for adults, it was like $39.99. Like, it was cheap.
Okay, so it's $40 meal, and the meal itself was, do you
included.
Feel like you got your money's worth, though, for that?
Absolutely, because there wasn't like a time limit on how long you could be there. Like, you could just go run around and play and just like go to different parts of Casa Bonita and like go look around and all of that stuff. And then they had like a merch shop, which you can buy stuff online too. We didn't pack a suitcase because we were literally there for like 2 days. The literal whole trip was just flying in and flying out and just going to Casa Bonita.
Were drinks included in the price, or did you have to pay extra for drinks?
We did have to pay extra for drinks, but that was not a problem.
Right, because I'm thinking like if I'm going to a restaurant and I end up paying like between $20 and $30 for my meal or whatever, and then drinks on top of that, I'm not mad at that. I know, I guess food's gotten expensive in the past few years or whatever. Going to restaurants has gotten expensive, but you got to pay people.
But the thing about Casa Bonita is that they pay their employees $30 an hour and eliminate tipping.
Yes, they do. They include like I think a service charge as part of your dining experience, so you don't even have to tip, which is great.
So is the $40 include service fee?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the receipt, but I mean,
that's okay. That's very reasonable. Okay, like I'm thinking about price, like $40 for something like that. That's not a bad deal at all.
Yeah.
If it was like $100, I would be raising my eyebrows at it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would get, because people do things for the novelty all the time. And, I've been to places where I get like, there's this bar in Philly called Tinsel that opens up during the holidays. And it's like a holiday themed bar. And you can buy they have like cocktails, but the cocktails are like $19 holiday themed cocktails. And I've gone there a couple of times just for like the fun of it. But and it because it's kind of a novelty thing, and this is definitely feels like it's a novelty thing, but the prices aren't exorbitant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was very reasonable. I honestly, the cost of flying out there was more expensive. So including my flights and the cost of dinner and everything, it's probably a more expensive dinner, but it was totally worth it. I haven't been able to do like a ton of travel, and this was something that I have just been looking forward to. And, you're not guaranteed an opportunity to go. And so the fact that my friend was like, hey, I got selected, I was just over the moon excited. And literally the only reason, because they had went in December, so they didn't need to go again. But they were like, literally the only reason that we're going is because we wanted to go with you. And it was just like so sweet with my friends and stuff.
No, that is really sweet. And I think we've really teased out the reasons why I did. I'm not saying that I genuinely thought you had to join the cult, but there were things that I noticed that I Googled it.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Casa Bonita sounds like it could be the name of a cult.
Right.
Good.
You're traveling to a place that you've never been before. And the first thing on the list of behavior control is that cults regulate an individual's physical reality. And there's not much more you can do to regulate a person's physical reality than getting them out of their home and making them go to a different place that you own, that you decorated, that you are surrounding them in your physical reality when you do that. So that you're going to a place where that someone else owns and that they completely regulate your physical reality was enough to raise an eyebrow when I know that you're paying for this. And then I found out that it is you are selected to go. And
there is that little exclusivity of it.
Yeah, and that's in group versus out group. And I was really a little bit concerned. And now having heard more about your experiences inside Casa Bonita, I think I'm not as concerned about it being a cult.
That's good. I'm so glad to hear that, Sadie. Thank you.
Do you think that there are any restaurants that qualify as cults?
I would say there have been some places that I have gone to that are like, like in the fine dining, kind of experiential type places.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you just end up looking around at the table and nobody's actually eating. They're just taking pictures for their Instagram, for their hashtag foodie life,
Mm-hmm.
and their like hashtag food blog. And I'm not like dissing on that by any means, but it's like when I go out to dinner, like I'm trying not to be on my phone the whole time. I'm trying to like enjoy and experience and enjoy the company that I'm with. And so I would say like, maybe like the whole Insta life,
Mm-hmm.
and like foodie culture and trying to like get into like the exclusive restaurants and, high dining type experiences, are maybe a little bit more cult like, because people are willing to like spend that money to go to these like places that maybe other people can't necessarily afford to go and eat at because it's just crazy prices.
I'm 100% with you. A lot of the way that we handle the bite model and determining what is and isn't a cult in this show is based on my own personal experience. Because in my experience, I think something behavior control or information control in and of themselves do not make a cult. When that behavior control becomes thought control or emotion control, cult members engage in self-brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what makes it a cult rather than a cult-like group. And that's based on years of research and my own experiences. So when we think about thought control and emotion control, thought control requires members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, uses loaded language and cliches to stop critical thinking, encourages only good and proper thoughts, teaches thought-stopping techniques, manipulates memories, and creates false memories. Or emotion control manipulates and narrows the range of feelings. Some emotions are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. Emotion control teaches emotion-stopping techniques to block out unwanted emotions. It induces extreme emotional highs and lows. And you could see that happen. You were talking about extreme fine dining. If the truth of the group, if the group doctrine is this restaurant is absolutely incredible, and it's one of those, the restaurant you go to, it's I'm
thinking of the episode of Parks and Recreation where Ron orders a scotch and they serve it to him as like a gel.
Yes.
And they put the gel on his hands. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I read about this restaurant that serves everything in like balloons, like nitrogen balloons, and you breathe it in.
Oh yeah, that like
Oh, that's dumb as
right. Okay, so here's the thing.
Have we evolved as a species to the point where we think we're better than eating?
So here's the thing. If somebody says to you, this restaurant where you breathe everything in and you just eat your food by inhaling it from these balloons is the best thing you have ever tasted. And when you leave, you're not even hungry because you tasted it all when you breathe it in. And then you go to the restaurant and it is fun. It's a neat experience. It's something you'll never do again, never did before. It's a once in a lifetime thing. But you leave and you're like, I really want to go to McDonald's because I did not actually consume any food here.
Mm-hmm.
You are now going against the group doctrine and you say, it was really fun, but I left hungry. And then people jump down your throat online and say, no, you weren't hungry. No, you don't know what you're talking about. That's gaslighting. That's
Or it's like
thought
the
control.
food was so incredible. Like, why are you still hungry?
Yes.
Like, it was so good and so filling.
That is a very real thing that could happen, and that would actually be gaslighting and thought control.
Mhm.
I think we've gone far enough. I think we can maybe conclude that Casa Bonita is not a cult, and also that, Laura, you're going to have to go back and take me.
Yes, I am on the email, and as
Do they have fajitas?
No, they don't have fajitas,
Oh,
but I mean, they do have enchiladas and the chicken mole. So I'll tell you what, Gavi, if you can make it out to Colorado, you've got a ticket waiting for you as well. So,
I might go out to Colorado. I got some friends there. I got some family that live out in Colorado.
yeah, I have some family that lives out there too now. So,
So either you're not in a cult or you've successfully recruited me.
I mean, we'll never know. I guess. Time will tell.
Well, I think Laura, we're just going to have to hang out some more.
I
And
guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
listen-
Darn.
Yeah. Listeners, keep your head up. I think you may see some new content along a very different vein from me and Laura coming soon. I wanted you to get to know her. This has been a ton of fun. And I hope this has been a welcome reprieve for our listeners between extremely heavy revelation episodes.
Well, thanks for having me, Sadie and Gavi. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the fun night. I appreciate it.
This
has been incredible.
I can't wait to hear it.
I can't wait to get you on a microphone more.
You follow the podcast on the internet at Leaving Eden Podcast. You can follow me at GAVRIELHACOHEN. I don't know even why we're doing it. The only shit I post on my socials is like pictures of food I'm eating and cats.
Hey,
and like
that's what the internet wants right now. So
that's what the internet is for, man. People be posting like crazy shit. Stay in your lane, man. That's the thing. Don't stick your like. Stephen Hassan feels like he's gotta, be posting about the bad that J.K. Rowling is doing. I'm like, buddy, you could have just not said anything, and I would have still respected you. Like, yeah.
Oh man.
Do you guys want to plug your socials?
Mine's private right now, so I won't.
Yeah. I'll let you know if we get a public social media going for Laura.
Yes.
For any future projects that may or may not be coming. You can follow me on Instagram at Sadie Carpenter Music, now on Threads as well. And you can follow me on TikTok at Sadie Carpenter 1.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope that you guys have a good time if you get to go to Casa Bonita.
To be continued. Good night.
But old rolling river of time healed me in too many days. No regrets, no confusion. There'll be no pollution. I'm so thankful I've decided to change my ways. I'm so thankful I decided